It's, I can't hear anything now.
We're not live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to another Yoruba News series. I am Olakuju Ayola. Good evening again, everyone. Welcome to another Yoruba. Can you please mute your speaker there, everyone? Your mic. Can you speak? Please mute your phone, everyone. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another Yoruba News series. I am Olakuju Ayola, and I will be your host for tonight. Nigeria is a country of nations. Can someone here please mute their mic, their phone? Can you please mute your phone? Hello, everyone again. Sorry about the glitch. Sorry about that. Good evening again, and welcome to another Yoruba News series. I am Olakuju Ayola. I'll be your host for tonight. Nigeria is a country of nations, and it has been a country. It has been a country that is full of different ethnic groups who were ethnic groups before the amalgamation of Nigeria. Nigeria ethnic groups have held on tightly to their identity, And this has been a cause of all sort of clashes due to different belief system, different ways of life, different point of view, different agenda, and different long-term goals. And this always brings us back to the question of what is Nigerian identity? I'll be introducing my co-host tonight, and I have here with me Madam Ajoke Ade, as always, who will be moderating alongside Mr. Montero, as well as Mr. Jolomi, who will be on the space, ensuring to be able to bring you on stage to speak, as well as taking your calls on WhatsApp. And then, of course, finally, my last co-host will be Madam Ajoke, who will be moderator behind the scene. And now I'll be presenting the speaker for tonight, as always, the president of TYF Worldwide, Are Bolariwa Oladimeji. Are, are you ready tonight for a very fantastic lecture?
Yeah, I'm more than ready. Today promises to be very, very educative and very, very inspiring. And I also hope people watching me all across the world, we also want them to interact, drop their comments, and also ensure that this conversation we are going to have tonight is going to be a discourse, not a one-way discussion. Thank you to the entire team, media team of the Yoruba Rono program. My name is Oladimeji Bolariwa, and I'm the president of Think Yoruba First organization worldwide. Today promises to be very, very interesting, and it promises to be very, very educative. It promises to be very, very inspiring. Today, we are discussing a very important topic, which is a continuation of the topic we started last week. And what was the topic we started last week? We started the ethnogenesis of the Yoruba people. And today, which is a continuation of last week, what is the Nigerian identity? The Yoruba identity itself, it's a form of an identity. The Nigerian identity itself, it's a form of identity. So we need to understand what exactly are we discussing and what exactly do we have here? Because identity crisis is a big problem, and cultural preservation, self-preservation, cultural awareness is also a very core part of any human society and any human civilization. I greet us all in the name of Olodumare, and I want to greet each and every one of us everywhere we are listening to us. Today promises to be very, very educative. It promises to be very, very interesting. Two great incidences happened last week. The first one was the Nigerian independence. We want to say Happy Independence Day to Nigeria. 65 years ago, just barely 55 years ago, Nigeria was able to get it. Nigeria, as a geopolitical entity, was able to get its independence from Britain. So, which was an end, one of the critical steps in the decoupling of the British Empire. Another thing that happened last week was a very ugly incident where scores of Yoruba people were killed in their ancestral homeland in Kwara South within Nigeria by bandits that are suspected of Fulani origin. And we pray that those that lost their lives, we pray that they continue to rest in peace. And that is why we are going to talk a little bit about Kwara today. Kwara State was one of the states that was created in 1967 after the balkanization of the regional system of federating structure that we have in Nigeria. The original name of Kwara was West Central State. And we need to understand some things when we talk about names, state creation. Everything in Nigeria has always been political. Everything in Nigeria has always been historical. Everything in Nigeria, as we know it, it's not just everything that has happened in Nigeria has never been a mistake. If it comes to, even when it comes to state creation, road building, creation of schools, it has always had political undertone before even having economic undertone, because of the history of Nigeria and what Nigeria actually is. If we understand these fundamentals, this will surely help us in order to understand, to diagnose the problem of Nigeria. Nigeria's problem is beyond the price of food, the price of garri. Those are peripheral issues. And because Nigeria has not been able to really answer the Nigerian question, to solve the Nigerian problem, this is why Nigeria has not been able to have a Nigerian agenda. What people call the Nigerian agenda oftentimes is the elitist agenda. Now, this brings me back to Kwara. Kwara State is a majority Yoruba state. Like I said, the original name of Kwara was West Central State. And in that state, the Yoruba people has always been the majority. It's a majority Yoruba-speaking state. When it was first created in 1967, when the Ebira people and the Okun people, another Yoruba group, were in that state, and the Ogorimagongo people. And when the state was further broken apart and the Yoruba people were taken out of Kwara State, the Okun people, one of the Yoruba groups, were taken out of Kwara State to go and create Kogi State. We need to understand some things. And one of the things we need to understand is that most of the states, the creation of states in Nigeria was not done by any civilian government. All the state structures, local government structures of Nigeria was created by the military junta, mostly of northern origin. There has never been any southerner that has created any states in Nigeria. So we have to understand that the lopsided structure of Nigeria in terms of the federating units, where a particular region of Nigeria has more political representation over the rest of Nigeria, not because of their economic viability or in terms of their population strength. This, but due to their control of the political machinery of Nigeria. And this did not start under the civilian regime or under the military regime post-1966. It has always been the policy of the colonial, of the British colonialists to keep Nigeria the way it is. If you're listening to me today, you need to ask yourself some fundamental questions. Why are the Yoruba people, who are one of the powerful Wasobias, how did they find themselves in Kwara State? Why are they called Northerners when they are Yorubas? And this brings us to the damage that happened in the 1820s. The balkanization of the Oyo Empire and the invitation of mercenaries from the Gwandu Emirates to help in the internal issues of the Yoruba people. One of the things the Yoruba people must understand in our history is that we must never and never call outsiders to meddle in our internal politics. I'm going to give you two examples of two instances in history where people went to two groups within a particular tribe's ethnicity were fighting, they had misunderstanding, and they called outsiders to come and help them. One side went to invite another side. It ended up in the destruction and the subjugation of that ethnicity, A good example is currently in Spain, in the Iberian Peninsula. The Muslims, the Arab Muslims, they ruled Spain for more than 600 years. And when they ruled Spain for more than 600 years, they built an empire called Andalus. How did the Arabs from the Middle East in Central Asia were able to get into mainland Europe? It was because of a fight between two parties fighting for power under the Visigoths in current-day Spain and Portugal. That was how the Arabs went into Spain And they were in Spain for more than 700 years before the Spanish Inquisition happened, which drove them out of that space. Not everybody is lucky. I'll give another example. Before the Germans, the Germanic tribes, the Angles and the Saxons were able to cross over from mainland Europe into what we currently call United Kingdom today. It was the internal war of supremacy between the indigenous Britons, ancient Celts people, Celts, who are trying to subjugate each other after the Romans left. What happened? They ended up being displaced, being subjugated, and being oppressed to this current moment for more than 1,500 years in the ancestral homeland by the Germanic tribes that they invited to help them. So we need to understand that history, what we do today, has a way of changing the perception of reality in the next 100 and 200 years. This was exactly what happened after the fall of the Oyo Empire. Afonja, who wanted to build another meaning empire called the Ilorin Empire, enrolled, used a lot of mercenaries. Even though in the ancient days, even under the Oyo Empire, they used a lot of slave soldiers, Hausa soldiers, Fulani soldiers, as mercenaries of war. Even the Roman Empire also used slave soldiers. Even the Greek Empire also used the slave soldiers. Even Ottoman Empire, they used the slave soldiers, Janissaries. These were children of Christian children that were captured during the rise of the Ottoman Empire. And they were used to keep the empire afloat for more than 600 years. So we need to understand that what Afonja did was a practice, but we need to learn about how dangerous it is in our age because of the lessons of the past. That no matter the differences between two Yoruba groups, between two Yoruba people, we must never call outsiders. We must never call outsiders to come and meddle into our internal politics. It's unfortunate that Kwara State, which has 16 local governments, and 12 local governments are Yoruba majority states. The majority are Yoruba majority local governments. The majority Yoruba people are being treated like second-class and third-class citizens. That is why there is a popular saying that I've always said at all times: the majority with political power is superior. The minority with political power is superior to the majority without political power. It is those who have the political power that determines the culture, the identity of a place. I'm going to give another example. You look at United Arab Emirates. 80% of the people that are resident in that country currently are non-Emiratis. They are not indigenous to that place. If the non-indigenous people in United Arab Emirates today, if perhaps they take over political power, the minority ruling elites and citizens of United Arab Emirates, they will be overrun. So it is because of the control of the political power, the control of the military, the control of the police by the minority, even though they are the ones that own the land, that has kept United Arab Emirates an Arab country and a Sunni Arab country today. So we need to understand these fundamentals, because this is extremely critical to understand the dynamics of power in Kwara State. It is true that in Kwara South, which has the biggest landmass, which has the biggest population, the Yoruba people dominate Kwara South totally. I'm going to give you an instance of Ifelodun. Ifelodun is one of the places, one of the biggest local governments in Nigeria. And it has been one of the victims, one of the places where bandits of Fulani origin has been attacking the Yoruba people non-stop, which has led to the loss of lives of many Yoruba people. Economies destroyed. A lot of towns like Babanla, Okiode has been deserted and totally displaced, and people totally displaced. They become ghost towns in the 21st century. And we need to start asking ourselves this question: what exactly is the end goal of these quote and unquote bandits? Are these people actually fighting for political reasons? Are these people actually fighting for religious reasons? Are these people actually fighting for economic reasons? Or are they fighting for lands? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Furthermore, we need to also understand, when I talked about the issue of land, what is the landmass of Ifelodun local government? I said that Ifelodun local government is one of the biggest landmass, biggest local government in Nigeria. Ifelodun local government has approximately the same size as Lagos State. Ifelodun local government is one of the most blessed local governments in Nigeria, in sub-Saharan Africa, when it comes to gold, diamond, when it comes to onyx, tourmaline, and every rare earth, every other form of rare earth element. Lithium, you name it. So Ifelodun local government, which is a Yoruba local government, an ancient Yoruba local government, has the same size as Lagos State. What exactly is the population of the population of the people living in Lagos State as we speak? Lagos State has close to 30 million people, approximately, by conservative estimates. So, geopolitically, Ifelodun local government is extremely important for the Yoruba people. We cannot afford to lose it. God is not creating more lands. And a land that you cannot defend, a land that you cannot fight for, does not belong to you. So this is what we need to understand. And this is why we need to understand what is happening in Kwara State. So if Ifelodun local government is as big as Lagos State, just one local government out of 7 local governments, that means the entire Kwara South is bigger than some states in the South in Nigeria, many states in Nigeria. The entire Kwara South is bigger than some states, is bigger than many states in the southwestern part of Nigeria, which is why it is geopolitical suicide for the Yoruba people to continue to refer and call and say that Southwest is equal to Yoruba land. By saying Southwest is equal to Yoruba land, you've ignorantly used your rhetoric to lose land mass that is currently in Kwara South. If the North comes to Nigeria, comes on national television, what do we mean? When I say North, I'm talking about the Northwest Caliphate nationalists. If they come on social media and start bragging that they have the largest landmass, they have the largest population in Nigeria, what exactly are they talking about? They are talking about that they are using the landmass of the Yoruba people. They are using our population, they are using our ancestral homeland to be able to be used as part and parcel of their so-called, of quote and unquote, Arewa. Now, this is where the Yoruba people need to understand and change the rhetoric. This is why many of us continue to use Yoruba land instead of Southwest. Because, like I said, we can get close to 5 to 6 Lagos states in terms of land mass out of Kwara South. Let's also talk about Kwara Central. Kwara Central has four local governments. Ilorin West, Ilorin East, and Ilorin South. All these local governments are all important local governments. People there are Yoruba people. We should also talk about Kwara North. How many local government do we have in Kwara North? We have the two Bariba local governments, and the two Nupe local governments, and the one Yoruba local government, which is Moro local government. In Moro local government, this is where we have ancient Yoruba kingdoms and cities like Jeba, like Elemeri, like Malete, like Shao. These are people that they've always protected and defended their Yoruba heritage. There is something I've always observed that is constant all over the world, where there are hierarchy in highly feudalized and stratified or racial societies. And what am I trying to say? Those who control the political power develop their space and use poverty and underdevelopment to subjugate others. Kwara South does not have any teaching hospital as I speak. Kwara South does not have a functioning state university, full-fledged. I'm not talking about annex as we speak. And what has happened is that a particular minority within Ilorin has been able to corner political power to subjugate and subject the will of the Yoruba people. That if they ensure that if they allow the Yoruba people to become politically and economically empowered, which is their fundamental human rights, because the question we have to ask ourselves, if the Yoruba people, who are 80% indigenous people, 80% of the population of Kwara State, if they are going to be subjugated and oppressed because of the feudal ideology, where the minority aristocratic class who believe in blue blood want to continue to take indigenous Yoruba land and categorize it as nuts by using poverty to subjugate our people. Is that the example of is that the definition of Nigeria that we all want? We appreciate the fact that the Kwara State government actually has finally responded, and the governor has been there, has now gone there after many cries of our people on social media. We appreciate that, but we need to also tell ourselves the truth. And the truth is this: what is the value of the life of the Yoruba people in Kwara State? Are the Yoruba people conquered people in Kwara State? Maybe I will go back in history a little bit. I really want to salute a lot of Yoruba people that has fought, like Baba Olawoyin from Ofa, General Baba Adebayo. People that have fought, they fought with all their lives to correct this anomaly. We know about the 1884 Berlin West African Conference, where the Yoruba people were broken into pieces. Some Yoruba people became Sierra Leoneans, some Yoruba people became Ghanaians, some Yoruba people became Togolese, some Yoruba people became Belenois, some Yoruba people became Nigerians. Even within Nigeria, the British also ensured that while some Yoruba people are called Southwesterners, some Yoruba people are also called Northerners. So we need to ask ourselves this question: Is this justice? What is it about colonialism and the balkanization of people into pieces? These are the kind of rhetorical questions that I want us to answer. These are the kind of questions I want us to know. When people talk about the Oyo Empire is actually in Kwara State. You cannot talk about the history of the Yoruba people. You cannot talk about the history of the Owu people. You cannot talk about the history of the Oyo people without talking about Kwara State. The origin of the Oyo as an identity is in Kwara State. The origin of the Owu people as an identity is in Kwara State. So it is impossible to take Kwara away from Yoruba discussion because it is part and parcel of the ancestral lands of the Yoruba people. This is why we need to actually speak up and actually tell ourselves the truth. The Yoruba people have been one of the sacrificial lambs of this unitary system and the melting pot ideology of Nigeria. And we must be able to stand our ground and answer national questions, not for secessionist reasons, not for violent reasons, not for chaotic reasons, but for us to be able to be proud Yoruba people and still be proud Nigerians. Nigeria means different things to different people. Everything we need to know about Nigeria, Chief Obafemi Awolowo told us about it. That's why I said the ethnogenesis of the Yoruba people. We need to understand it. What is the Yoruba people? The 1,000 years of history. I spoke about it many some weeks ago. We must be able to understand our current reality, our past, our present, so that we can be able to predict the future. How do we stop the killings of our people in Kwara State? How do we stop the destruction and subjugation of our people in Kwara State? Have you seen Bukola Saraki call out the killing of the Yoruba people in Kwara State? Have you seen Dino Melaye call out the killings of the Yoruba people in Kogi State? They cannot, because those perpetrating this evil are Fulani origin. And there are some Yoruba people that are Yoruba only by name. But where they derive their power is by bowing down to the minority Fulani hegemony in the core north. We don't hate the Fulanis, but we understand the dynamics of power. That is why it is absolutely blasphemous. It is absolutely, it's a political suicide. It's destruction for the Yoruba people not to affirm, assert the control of our political space within Southwest. It's even dangerous for us not to control our politics in Yoruba land of Kogi, in Yoruba land of Kwara State, in Yoruba land of Delta, in Yoruba land of Edo State. We can be divided, but that does not mean we should lose our sense of self as a people. Kwara South has the following Yoruba groups. We have the Ibolo people, the Domino people, the Ekiti people, and the Oyo people. Those are the 4 groups, Yoruba groups, that are indigenous to Kwara South. Now, you ask yourself a question. There is Ekiti State as one of the most homogeneous states in Nigeria, where everybody within that state are Ekiti. Now, why do we now have another 2 Ekiti local governments in Kwara State? Have you asked yourself that question? Why should we? How do you think the Ekiti people in the Ekiti local governments in Kwara State will feel when their kids and kings just across the border? These people have land contiguous borders, but they've been separated through the politics of Nigeria. Who is doing this? We need to understand that. We understand what is going on. Some people, groups in Nigeria, they believe in conquests. They believe that conquest is what should determine the geopolitics of Nigeria. Why some groups believes in indigenous rights? You have to ask yourself these questions. The Yoruba people believe, oh, this land is the land of our ancestral land, is our ancestral heritage. So it belongs to us. Why some people be telling you that we've conquered your fathers 30, 40, 100 years ago? Therefore, you are going to be under us. And they will still come around and tell you about one Nigeria. What is the Nigerian identity? What does it mean to different people? And some people will also tell you, we've bought your land. We've taken over your markets. So we are going to chase you out of your land. We must rule you. Because we bought this land now belongs to yours. We now have equal rights with the indigenous people. They are even taking steps to go to the court, to go to the National Assembly, to erase and use biro, pen and paper to conquer Yoruba people and other indigenous people within Nigeria. The Yoruba people are very powerful within Nigeria. We're extremely powerful than we think. We're extremely powerful than we think. That is why when you start talking about the Yoruba worldview beyond the Southwest, now let's limit it within Nigeria, beyond the Southwest, it start making some people get afraid. Some people start getting afraid and some people start getting scared. Let me give you an instance. The same group, charlatans, that believe that the entire Delta North senatorial zones should become Anioma states and they should be zoned and taken as part of the Southeast, are still the same charlatans. And they still come around and be telling us that Lagos State should be taken out of Yoruba land. And some Yoruba people just shrug it off and moved on. We cannot blame the British, but I can tell you that the deal we had in the First Republic, was even somewhat better than what we currently have. The only benefits, the only gain, the territorial gain, in order to change the injustice in Nigeria that the Yoruba people has ever had, was bringing back Lagos colony back into the West where it belongs in 1991. Now, that is the only thing we've benefited. But what have they done? They took Wadi away from us. They took the Usains away from us. They took Akoko Edo away from us. So we've all lost more territories because of the kind of politics that we were playing, the politics of self-destruction, the politics of naiveness that we were playing within Nigeria. Because we do not play the right politics. War is politics. All war is politics. We must understand this fundamental fact. War is politics. Politics is war. Who you vote for as a way of actually determining your future. Who you vote for actually determines your destiny. Who you vote for actually determines your future. Who you vote for actually determines if you are going to control your land or not. You can be a majority in your land and still be conquered. Majority versus minority actually does not actually determine who controls what. Minorities are good in the game of power, like we've seen in Ilorin, and we've seen in the Core North. We've also seen in Rwanda. Different race have different capacity and different ability. Unfortunately, the Yoruba people, we are brilliant people on an individual basis. We have Nobel Prize winners, Grammy Award winners, billionaires in our midst, professors in our midst, all across the world. We are so great. Our culture dominates the world. Our music dominates the world. There's no human endeavor that the Yoruba people, you cannot see the Yoruba people. But let me tell you the truth. when it comes to group power, the Yoruba people are weak. And it is those who have the group power that will dominate those who do not have it. So I've been able to give a brief analogy of Kwara State. Kwara State is Yoruba land by virtue of majority. Kwara State is Yoruba territory. And I really want to thank the Alaafin for your Kabiyesi for actually writing that letter to show concern. And for the first time, we see an Alaafin that is speaking authoritatively for the Yoruba people of Kwara State. Because the history of the Oyo Empire and the Oyo people is not complete without the history of Kwara State. I also want, hopefully, the Olowo of Owu will also do the same thing. Because those two primordial sons of Oduduwa are critical stakeholder in the future and determination of the future of Kwara State. History is what should dictate our politics. History is what should dictate our geopolitics. When I'm talking about history, I'm not talking about supremacist history or petty history or politicized history that some of our people are currently engaging in. It is true. The days of the empires are over. There's no longer Ife Empire, no longer Oyo Empire, no longer Ibadan Empire, no longer Benin Empire, no longer Roman Empire. But we all understand that our current realities are built on the foundations of these empires that still exist in our day-to-day life. This is why it is extremely critical for us to make the right decisions and understand things for what it is. My next point is the history we're talking today. What is the topic we're talking today? What is Nigerian identity? What does Nigeria mean to us? What does Nigeria mean to you? What exactly is this Nigerian identity? Nigeria is nothing but a country of many nations. Nigeria was created through the brutal force of British colonialism. It was created to protect British interests. It was not created to protect the interests of the indigenous people of Nigeria. This is not an unpatriotic speech. It is the reality of what Nigeria is. And Nigeria has been something that has always worked in favor of some groups, and it has not worked in the favor of some groups right within Nigeria. We cannot talk about the history of Nigeria without talking about 1884. That was when this area of called Nigeria was taken over by the British. And they used diplomacy, divide and rule, gunboat diplomacy, divide and conquer, divide and rule, pitching one kingdom to the other, funding one Yoruba group against another Yoruba group, funding one Yoruba city-state against another city-state. Like we saw in the Ife Owu War, like we saw in the Ibadan Ijaye War, like this we saw in the Kiriji War. And that was how they were able to influence the outcome of the war. That is all, and that is what sociologists and geopolitical analysts now call proxy wars. Examples of proxy wars is what we currently see between Ukraine and Russia, where Western powers are funding Ukraine, hoping that Ukraine will be used through proxies to destroy Russia, and they are going to carve up Russia up. The same thing was what happened to the Yoruba people in the 19th century. They supported one side, they supported Ibadan to destroy Ijaye, gave Ibadan wars and arms and ammunition and funding. And after Ibadan was able to destroy Ijaye, and Ibadan was literally building another super empire, they funded the Kiriji War, the Ekiti Parapos, to be able to also stop the emergence of Ibadan. And what happened? They came as the peacemaker. We signed the treaty, and they disarmed the entire Yoruba people. That was how the Yoruba people, who were a martial people, when you talk about martial people, warlike people, became Owambe they became Owambe professionals. And some people think to be Yoruba today, and some people we start hearing nonsense like, we don't do that here. Coming from Ibadan people who are known to one of the most brutal Yoruba city states we've seen for the past 1,000 years, because they don't know their history. They don't even know how they took over that space and took an Ife settlement and turned it to an Oyo empire, a new form of Republican Oyo-speaking empire, and they called it Ibadan. They don't even know their history. So we have to understand this reality. So going back, what is the Nigerian identity? The Nigerian identity was born after the 1914 amalgamation. It was socially engineered. They created new elites. They trained people, new professionals, who were given who were made to believe in this dream, who are made to believe in this agenda called Nigeria, who are made to self-believe in this dream, in this passion called, in this project called Nigeria. But we are not going to cry over spilled milk. We need to look into the future. I have to tell you the truth. Even though there are more than 25 different Yoruba groups, Yoruba tribes, because Yoruba is an ethnic nation, we've not been politically ruled together as one united bloc. That is why we refer in Think Yoruba First organization that Chief Obafemi Awolowo is the Otto von Bismarck of the Yoruba people in the 20th century. What Otto von Bismarck did to the Germans, to the Germanic tribes, to the Germanic dukes and kingdoms in the 19th century was what Chief Obafemi Awolowo was able to achieve for the Yoruba people in the 20th century. The Yoruba people had never been ruled under one centralized authority. That is why even at the height of the Oyo Empire, as the height of the Benin Empire, at the height of the Ife Empire, at the height of the Ibadan Empire, there were still some Yoruba groups and Yoruba and Ife-speaking people, Ife-descended people that were not under the control of one single law and other. So that is why the Yoruba, what we call the Yoruba space, is based on ethical-based order. It's an ethical-based order. Even though we don't have a singular, we don't have a singular law, we don't have a singular security system, but we have what? We have what we call the ethical-based order, which is Omoluabi. We all believe in that code and honor. And so, in the first time within Nigeria, the Yoruba people had one umbrella. And if we saw what the greatest enemy of the unity of the Yoruba people, they never wanted it. The people who said the Yoruba people must not unite was Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. You start asking yourself, why? What is the business of an Igbo nationalist, one of the president of the Igbo State Union, to be witch-hunting the Yoruba people that the Yoruba people must not unite? These are history. We are not trying to spread rumor against another ethnicity. Because, let me be very blunt with you, the Igbos understand what they want in Nigeria. The Igbos are not shy about how they want Nigeria should be. The Fulanis are not shy about how they want Nigeria should be. It is the Yoruba people that do not actually understand what Nigeria is. And I'm going to break it down. The Igbos understand power, but the question is, I don't think they understand what to do with that power. They understand hegemony. They understand expansionism. They learned that from the British. They understand domination. They don't hide it that this is their will. They say, oh, if you want Lagos for yourself, go and declare Oduduwa Republic. They tell you that we either dominate you or we crush you or you leave. So it is that primitive ideology. And there's no amount of national orientation agency that can change that. You can't. You can't. You can only have structures that can do checks and balances. Even when we have structures that can do checks and balances, they did not think twice to use the unification decree via Aguiyi-Ironsi to destroy the regional system of government. Because what they want is what they want. The same thing you are going to see in the core north. I still saw where the Sultan of Sokoto still talking about Islamism and theocracy in a supposedly secular country. And you are going to don't tell me that the Sultan of Sokoto does not know what he is talking about. He's not illiterate. This was a former colonel in the Nigerian army, a former military personnel. He's well traveled all across the world. He is the descendant of Uthman Dan Fodio. Still talking about theocracy in a supposedly secular country. That should be in a proper country that knows what it's talking about. That should be a form of treason. Because you don't talk about theocracy in an already polarized country that is fighting against Islamic jihadism and extremism for the past 15 years. So I'm giving you the different realities. And I'm still going to talk. I said the Igbos understand what they want in Nigeria. They say, oh, they want a seaport. What they want is they want access to the sea. Somebody says he wants a seaport, but the entire Southwest does not have access to the Atlantic Ocean. How is he going to get it? They are telling you, saying the president should give them access to the sea. They are literally saying the president should break, because the Igbos having access, the Southeast having access to the sea means there is nothing called South-South again. Because for South-South to exist, the entire 6 Southwest, South-South states must have contiguous land border. Go and look at them. Go and look. So Bayelsa and River states are the impediments of the Igbo nation. Are the impediments of the Igbo nation from having access to the sea. So we need to understand this reality. So they understand what they want. They understand that the only bloc that is preventing them from asserting their power and might upon Nigeria are the Yoruba people. There can never be 2 superpowers in the South. It is impossible. Just the way there can never be 2 superpowers in the North. We have North Central, we have Northwest, and we have Northeast. The superpowers of the North, of the core North, is the Northwest. That is the seat of the Caliphate. It is from the West to the East. And the Igbos understand this. That is why I don't joke when it comes to Islamic solidarity, Islamic cohesion as a means of power and hegemony in the core North. That is why you see most Northern influences, they downplay ethnic nationalism and promote religious fundamentalism and religious fundamentalism and nationalism. You see former people, former media head like Bashir Ahmad, people have worked that have worked in Aso Rock under former presidents. The way they talk about religion, the way they promote religion. They are not promoting religion because they want to enter Al-Jannah. They are not promoting religion because they want to enter paradise. They are promoting religion because the religion is their political currency. The more religious they seem to portray themselves to be, the more cohesive they become and the more powerful they become. For you, the Yoruba people, it is your Yoruba currency that you need to have in order to be able to project power. There is no morality in politics and there's no morality in power. Nigeria is a brutal struggle for land, power, and resources. Nigeria is a brutal struggle for land, power, and resources. Nigeria is a brutal power struggle for land, power, and politics. And all war is deception. All politics is deception. So it is normal for somebody to say, oh, we are all brothers. Oh, you are not just being tribalistic. And then let us become senators. Let us become, that is how you are going to go extinct. Deception is part of war. The greatest military tacticians in the world were great, and they've perfected the art of deception. If you read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, you are going to see different chapters where he was talking about deception and deception and deception. So that is why it is very, you can either be conquered through brute force, or you can either be conquered through deception. Some people are bringing over 300,000 voters to take over power politically from your place, the most powerful economic base you already have. And they are telling you that, so you don't need to talk about it. And we are using the Nigerian structure. Oh, we are using the Nigerian, and you've forgotten that an unjust law is no law at all. You've forgotten. Many people have forgotten that there was a time the apartheid system of government was legal. It was legal. If you go against it, you've broken the law, according to what they did in South Africa. There was also what we call desegregation laws in the United States of America. It was those who dared to fight against these diabolical law and legal systems that became heroes today. That's why all of you can jump out today and go to America and go to all these things, because the laws that have been made that would have made you hewers of woods and drawers of waters forever has been broken into pieces. So we need to understand these fundamentals. We need to understand this reality. What is Nigerian identity? What exactly is this Nigerian identity? I've seen many things for the past, from the beginning of Nigeria. Chief Obafemi Awolowo had been saying, no problem, we are proud Nigerians, but we will not give up our Yoruba identity because we want to build Nigeria. Ahmadu Bello said the same thing. We are not going to give up our Islamic identity, our Islamic cohesion, because we want to build Nigeria. Because Ahmadu Bello understood, he's a descendant, he's a prince of the Sokoto Caliphate. I read his autobiography, and his autobiography said he prefers to become the Sultan of Sokoto than even becoming the president, the prime minister of Nigeria. He was so contented with the North because he understood for Nigeria for what it is. He was a realist, hardcore realist. And there was nobody, Nnamdi Azikiwe did not love Nigeria. Nnamdi Azikiwe understood that before Nigeria was created, there was nothing called the Igbo nation. They didn't have a centralized dialect. They didn't have any empire, no civilization, nothing whatsoever. They were very weak because before Christianity, Catholicism, and Nigerian political power and British imperialism gave them the power and the leverage to be able to be fighting their neighbors and be projecting power, and even trying to project power from all across Africa. That's why I call themselves Zik of Africa. I can't blame him, because a race without power is a conquered race. He understood what Nigeria is. He understands, even though he was just, you stop listening to what people say. Listen to what they do. Listen to what they do. So from maybe next week, we're going to break it further. We are going to break it further. So we are going to break it further and understand the reality of Nigeria and what Nigeria is. Like I said, the Igbos understand what they want within Nigeria. Out of the three major ethnicities within the major geopolitical bloc in the South, the Igbos are the people who do not have access to the Atlantic Ocean. If they have access to the Atlantic Ocean, they will withdraw the entire balance of power as we know it in Nigeria. That is why the Southwest South-South Coastal Road is a powerful geopolitical structure that will change the balance of power and the definition of power in Nigeria forever. Roads are not just roads. When roads are built, when railways are built, you have to understand when airports are built, you don't just build these critical structures out of nothing. When the British colonialists were building railways across Africa, they were building railway from the hinterland to the ports to build these railways in order to be able to transport raw materials to the port in order to be able to take it to mainland Europe. The same thing with roads. Railways were important structure of the British colonial empire. The railways are important structures, important lifeblood of the German Empire, Prussian Empire, Austrian Empire. Railways were extremely important. Road networks was critical to the power of the Roman Empire. These structures are critical. So you need to understand when roads are built, a road is going from where to where. What is the advantage of this road? What is this road all about? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. These are questions that we need to answer. These are questions that we need to know so that we can understand the Nigerian projects. The Nigerian identity. There has been different. Chief Obafemi Awolowo spoke about the ethno-linguistic federalism. Brothers and sisters, Yoruba people listening to me, listen to me and listen good. Your future, do not compromise your definition of Nigeria for any ethnic nation. Do not compromise your definition of Nigeria for any ethnic nation. Do not inconvenience yourself because you want to be seen as patriotic to people that will eat you raw. Do not negotiate from the position of weakness. Do not dim your light so that others will shine. They will not dim their light for you. In this same country, some people are practicing full-blown hardcore Sharia law in a supposedly secular country, which contravenes the fundamentals of the spirit of Nigeria. You need to understand, those that are telling you to stop tribalism still practice a caste system in Nigeria in 2025. Those that are teaching you feminism to Yoruba women, go and look at their history. There is nothing there. The women were treated like they were not given power compared to Yoruba race, where we had female Alaafin, female Ooni of Ife, and women had been critical part of governance in pre-colonial Yoruba land for over 1,000 years. So we need to understand where we are coming from and where we're going. Chief Obafemi Awolowo has always told us about ethno-linguistic federalism. What is Azikwe talking about? Azikwe has always been talking about melting pot Nigeria, melting pot unitarism, where there will not be any Oba, where there will not be indigenous people. That is what they are pursuing. Whether they are in APC, whether they are in PDP, the ideology is the same, the agenda is the same, the behavior is the same, the worldview is the same. It is you that you need to ask yourself this question. What is the Yoruba agenda within Nigeria? You saw the Sultan of Sokoto saying, oh, when Islamism, there's nothing bad in Islamism and Islamic values in a country like that. That was what Ahmadu Bello was also saying. Northernization agenda, Arawanization agenda based on Islamic civilization. So we need to understand where we are coming from and where we are going. We are surely going to continue next week the ethnogenesis of the Yoruba people, and where we'll be juxtaposing the Nigerian identity and the Nigerian reality. As Yoruba people, we must never lose focus of where we are coming from and where we are going. We are Yoruba people in Nigeria. Same way the Yoruba people in Benin Republic are Yoruba people in Benin Republic. That is why we say think Yoruba first, We are not saying think Yoruba first as a means of hatred. It's a means of building back the consciousness that was destroyed by colonialism after the 1884 Berlin West African Conference, and due to the social engineering that led to the wars and wars that destabilized West Africa and destabilized the Yoruba people. We must be level-headed to understand where we are going. What is the Yoruba agenda within Nigeria? What is wrong in having a Yoruba agenda within Nigeria? What is wrong in it? There's an Igbo agenda within Nigeria. There's a Fulani agenda within Nigeria. There's Islamic agenda within Nigeria. There's a Ijaw agenda within Nigeria. And they talk about it openly. They don't hide it. Even you see Goodluck Jonathan, why is the Yoruba people always shy to assert what they want within Nigeria? That's why we'll never criticize anybody speaking openly about the rights of the Yoruba people within Nigeria, even if they are overdoing it. It's better to have such people. We must not compromise our definition of ethnic identity within Nigeria. Do not compromise your Yoruba-ness for anything. The Core North will not compromise their Islamic identity for the sake of a secular Nigeria. Why should the Yoruba people compromise their Yoruba identity for Nigeria? The Yoruba identity is not anti-Nigeria. So why are some people saying for Nigeria to strive, they must destroy our Yoruba-ness? That is genocide. The United, there are ethnic nations there surviving, and they are united, they are prosperous. So when somebody says, so if you promote ethnic identity, you're not going to be prosperous. That's a lie. Tell them about Switzerland. Tell them about Belgium. Those are multi-ethnic countries, and they are far even more prosperous than many homogeneous countries, because what they practice proper federalism and true federalism. Why is that not important? Why is that not practicable in Nigeria? It is not practicable in Nigeria because we have nomadic ethnicities who still believe they are still fighting, expanding. It is their God-given mandate, the manifest destiny to conquer and to expand within Nigeria. This is the bitter truth. It is not hatred. The ideology of pushing for cattle colony, Ruga, the ideology of trying to push indigenous bill that will destroy indigenous rights of people within Nigeria must be totally crushed for Nigeria to survive. We will continue to protect the entire Yoruba race. Thank you so much. We'll surely be speaking next. I will surely continue this lecture next week. Host, you can take over. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Are, for that wonderful and insightful lecture. I want to remind Yorubas that in Switzerland, they have four language speaking regions where they control their own space and they respect one another. Yoruba shouldn't have to compromise its identity, heritage, great history, and its future for Nigeria, one Nigeria, because there's no such thing as one Nigeria. Every other ethnic group are holding on tight to their identity, to their culture, and to their lands. So therefore, we need to always fight for our land, protect our identity, preserve our heritage, and continue to plan for our future. It's very important for us as Yorubas that we should have our own agenda. We should have a plan for the near future. We should have a plan for the next generation, because our ancestors did exact same for us. So thank you again, Hare, for reminding us of who we should remember to be. We are Yorubas. We're Yoruba before we're Nigerians, and we'll always be Yoruba. Thank you very much to everyone listening to us tonight. And now we're going to the Q&A section. I will be handing over to Madam Ajoke Ade and Mr. Montero. Madam Ajoke Ade, are you ready?
I'm very much ready. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Eshe Pupo, like always. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful lecture. Eshe Gan, thank you so much. Yoruba, Ejo Eronu, please. Alima Babailo. We can't keep going on like this. One power nilewa is not supposed to be like that. Eje Karonu, Ejo Karonu. Thank you so much, Are. Thank you, everybody. Like always. Tiko Basi kò sí àwa o. Thank you for joining us always. Thank you. Eshe adúpẹ́ o. Eshe. Before we move to the Q&A, I would like to make some announcements. Very important, Ejo, become a member. Ewa darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. We cannot do it alone without you. Lè dá ṣe o. Àjòjì ọwọ́ kan ò gbẹ́rù dórí. We cannot do it alone. Please become a member of TYF. Join us on thinkyorubafirst.org. TYF, it's more than a movement. TYF is more than a movement. It is meant to unite us on a purpose, pride, heritage. Ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa, please. TYF, nǹkan tí TYF will stand for, it is to preserve our land. Prosperity Yoruba, progress wa ní TYF wà fún. Our unborn generation, this is what we are for. It's not ordinary movement, it's more than movement. So ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa, please. We cannot do it alone. Ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. You can also join us. Ẹ lè join wa lórí WhatsApp. You can join us on Telegram. As usual, follow wa lórí X. We are also on YouTube. Please join us. We are also on Facebook, on Instagram. So please, join wa kẹ́dẹ̀ follow wa lórí gbogbo àwọn platform wa yìí. We cannot do it alone. Gbogbo wa náà la jọ máa ṣe. Àjòjì ọwọ́ kan ò gbẹ́rù dórí. Please, let's do it together. Let's make this movement great. Gbogbo wa ló wà fún. It's not ọmọ Yorùbá ló ní TYF. Think Yoruba first. Ẹ jẹ́ ká ronú Yorùbá lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, Yorùbá lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, Yorùbá nígbẹ̀yìn. Please join us. Ẹ tún lè pè wá. You can call us for tẹ́ bá ní ìbéèrè àbí any opinion, any suggestion tẹ́ fẹ́ fún wa. You can call on our WhatsApp number 234 091 105 75 121. The number once again, 234 901 057 5121. So moving forward, we have, TYF, we created Yoruba e-library. Gbogbo wa la mọ̀ pé knowledge is power. We all know that when we read, we remember. Tabade rántí, when we remember, we rise. So please, visit our library. It's a gateway to history, resources to keep our culture alive. We have different books. And what is going on in Yoruba land, as we all know, history is very, very important. If we are versed in history, a lot of things that is going on today might probably not happen. But our Yoruba, a lot of us are among history wa. So that's why all easy for àwọn tí ó jẹ́ àwọn neighbors wa, wọ́n fi ń fi propaganda. Wọ́n fi ń gbá àwọn ọmọ wa sẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́, wọ́n fi ń gbá wọn sọ́tún, left and right, up and down. So please visit our library, our e-library. Also, TYF shop. Ẹ má gbàgbé, the ọjà Ọmọlúàbí marketplace. This is a shop with pride. We created this shop with pride. And this shop supports Yoruba creativity, Oh, they are celebrating our identity. I need different things. Nibe. Art, items, books as well, and many more. So a patronize what every of your purchase is more than trade. It's a statement. It's a statement of who we are, our identity. Am I still audible? Host.
We can hear you, Ma. We can hear
Are you
you.
there? Am I still audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Eshegon, thank you.
Can we please have the speakers from the space and from WhatsApp call, please? Moderators. Mr. Montero, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, can we start moderating the Q&A now, please?
Oh, okay. For now, I think Jolomi will be the one to be able to do that.
Do we have any speaker?
Um,
Do you have anyone who want to speak
for
now?
now, for now, I've not
Am
seen
I
anyone.
audible? I think I'm having issue with my speaker. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Ma.
Sorry. I've been speaking all the while. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's move on with Q&A. And we can do other announcements between the Q&A if we have any break. So do we have anybody on stage? Mr. Montero, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I've I've lost connection for a while now. So
Yeah,
I
okay.
think Jolomi he will see them himself.
Mr. Jolomi Shewambe, are you there? Do we have anybody on stage? Please bring people up. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa gbé àwọn èèyàn wá sókè o. Host Shewambe.
Hello, Ma, I'm here. Hello, Ma. Are you there? Mr. Jolomi, you're muted.
I think that there.
Mr. Jolomi, you're muted.
Yes, I think they're there. What we can do? What we can do is to ensure that there's a good synergy between those taking the questions and those in the Twitter. And I also we also want the moderators should also look at their messages. Madam Ajoke, please look at your message. It's extremely critical. Mr. Lewis, are you on stage? Mr. Jolomi, are you on stage? Please, Ejo, Madam Ajoke, please, so that we can have a lot of people participate today. Ejo, Eshe.
Okay, I'm here, but Jolomi needs to bring me back up for the Twitter space, and I wonder why he's not responding.
Okay. So let's just
Could
continue.
it be connection issue? I think I'm having connection issue as well on X.
So let's just continue, and we can also take internal questions too. I'll be waiting.
Okay. Internally, anybody to any question, please. Let's have your question. Mr. Jolomi, are you back?
Mr. Jolomi, are you back now, sir?
I'm here.
Okay, can you please speak a bit louder because we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Mr. Jolomi. The voice is very distant. The voice is quite distant. Can you speak a bit louder, please?
Why?
Yeah, I can barely hear you, sir. I can barely hear you. Do we have someone who wants to speak? Sorry? The voice is quite distant. Like you're speaking from some speaker directly to us. Madam Ajokade, are you on space right now?
Yeah, I'm on stage, but I think I'm having connection issue.
And Mr. Montero, are you back on space right now?
I'm actually on space. Mr. Jolomi needs to bring me back up, and I've been saying it.
Sorry, everyone, for the technical glitches. Bear with us
Bring
while
me,
we resolve it.
Mr. Jolomi.
We can barely hear you, Mr. Jolomi. We can't hear you. Your voice is quite distant. All right. I have a question for you. Well, more or less a contribution why they're fixing this issue.
Okay.
So I spoke earlier about Switzerland, and I said everyone gets to control their space. And you mentioned the true federalism earlier as well. So how should Yoruba go about this? How should we start demanding for our right to control our own space and our resources, our security, and everything concerning Yoruba?
Okay, thank you very, very much. I think what we have to do is, firstly, we need to educate our population, our populace, the Yoruba society. I said we are very brilliant individually, but when it comes to group power, the Yoruba people are very poor when it comes to practicing group So we need to properly educate ourselves, and we need to organize ourselves. We need to organize ourselves politically. We need to organize ourselves economically. And we need to organize ourselves socially. And we need to organize ourselves culturally. And if you look at all these four, and we need to also organize ourselves geopolitically. If you look at all these five cardinals that I have listed, these are all the things that TYF is currently doing. So by organizing ourselves, that is where our solution and our our salvation lies. Because the world has changed. A lot of things are happening in the Sahel. Many of us have been shouting about the Sahel for the past 15 years. I wrote poems. In fact, I've gotten invited to many television stations in Lagos, all across Yoruba land, where I've spoke about the danger that is coming from the Sahel. If we follow what is happening in the Sahel, what is happening in the Middle East, what has happened in North Africa, we should know that we are never going to be safe. The greatest mistake the Oyo Empire made was not to tidy their house and be very wary of the political realities that was happening in Mali, in Burkina Faso, current day Mali, current day Burkina Faso, current day Niger, and current day the northwestern part of Nigeria. In the 18th century and the 19th century, and we paid dearly for it. We made the same mistake. If you look at Niger State has been one of the most bandits and terrorist ravaged regions in Nigeria for the past 3-4 years. This is what has been happening in Niger State. Killings, displacement of people. This is what has been happening in Niger State. But nothing, the Kwara State governor, the Kogi State governor did not do anything. It was not state actors, common citizens like Chief Sunday Igboho, that had to start fighting and start defending the rights of Yoruba people that are being slaughtered in northern Oyo State, before the Southwest governors had to quickly come up with Amotekun. And there has been so many politics around Amotekun till now. In a very serious, and you look at Nigeria also, we've been battling insurgency for the past 15 years. No end in sight. I read the news yesterday where 5,000 Nigerians had to flee to Cameroon due to insurgency. We see what is happening in Mali. We see what is happening in Burkina Faso. We see what is happening in Niger Republic. And I don't think I don't think most West African countries are even serious about what is happening. There's no sense of urgency. We are still playing politics with human life. We are still nonchalant. This was what happened in the 17th century, before empires and kingdoms started to go into places across West Africa. So the same thing might repeat itself, not because of any spiritual undertone, but because we refuse to learn from history. So we need to understand what history is, and we need to be able to fix this problem. We need to be prepared. We need to be prepared for the raining day. That raining day is here. This is not sustainable. What is coming from across, most of the people, these bandits, were not trained in Nigeria. We are seeing sophisticated weapons. Poor people cannot afford AK-47. To buy one AK-47 is around 500,000 to 1 million naira. Do you know the cost of bullets? Poor people cannot afford this. Anti-aircraft guns. Even to buy one motorcycle, brand new, is almost 500 to 1 million naira. Where are they getting this funding? Where are they paying logistics? Where are they getting money for logistics? And why are they paying these fighters? These fighters are in their thousands. So some people telling us some people should not even talk about poverty. Poverty is not the reason for what we are facing. Poverty is not the reason why we are going to kill one bandit and another bandit come. It's an ideological war. And there's a reason why it is one ethnicity, one major ethnicity that is doing this. When the issue of Niger Delta happened, we know majority of the militant leaders were Ijaws, because the Ijaw people are riverine people, and many of the onshore oil drilling happening along Ijaw areas. So it was understandable. So you know, majority don't Polo, Asari Dokubo are Ijaw leaders. So when we also see with banditry, most of the leaders of these bandits are Fulanis. Most of the people that are fighting, the fighters, fighting states, countries in Niger, in northern Benin Republic, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, are also mostly Fulanis. So you have to ask yourself what is happening. So we now have a transcontinental network. That is why many of us are very, very careful. For those asking for revolution in Nigeria, it was the people asking for revolution in Sudan that finally destroyed Sudan, because Sudan was very, very weak. And once the central government lost power, what happened? It became free for all. I fear for the Yoruba people in Kwara State and Kogi State. I'm sorry to say this. Because even in the South, our people are not prepared to fight, to combat in the Southwest, to combat what is happening. Because most of our leaders, I don't think they have the best minds around them to tell them that there is fire on the mountain. And when I see the way core northern leaders behave, I think they've just given up. They've given up on the core north. They now make law. They are sitting down with bandits, non-state actors, negotiating with terrorists. And I've said this several times. If America, China, Russia can sit down with Taliban after fighting them for many decades, one day, one president will say, let us sit down with Boko Haram. Heaven will not fall. The leader, the current president of Syria, was a former leader of Al-Qaeda, al-Jolani. And they've lifted all sanctions. They chased away al-Bashir. And they chased away Assad, who fought against ISIS and was instrumental in the destruction of ISIS. And they went to fund a former leader of Al-Qaeda, who had a bounty on his head. So you need to understand that the world, we are in a very dangerous period. The people you call bandits today might be your governors in the future. It has happened before. It happened before in Sudan. When the Sudan civil war was going on, and Omar al-Bashir did something. He created militias from nomadic Arab, Fulani, Arabized people in Darfur region and across Chad, brought them into Sudan, gave them weapons, gave them training. They were not state actors, and they were killing and wiping out indigenous people across southern Sudan, across the Blue Nile, across Darfur. What happened? That was where the current leader, the factional leader of Sudan, emerged. His name is Dagolo. He is the current leader of RSF. And what is RSF? RSF is a paramilitary or militia organization that was created by Sudanese government to crush and wipe out indigenous people, especially during the Sudan Civil War. I see a particular trend now. Miyetti Allah, people, Fulanis are now being trained. They are now being trained as non-state actors. So other states in Nigeria are saying this. If you are training Miyetti Allah, Benue State will start its own. The Jukuns will have their own, and they are going to have state backing. You cannot be training Miyetti Allah and say the Yoruba people are not going to train OPC to defend the rights of Yoruba people in Nigeria and outside Nigeria within West Africa. If you are training Miyetti Allah, do we even go back to history? Do you think the Israeli Defense Force, one of the best best army in the world, do you know how they were formed? The Defense Force, IDF, was formed from vigilantes. It was militias that was created by Jewish settlers in the 1920s to protect Jewish farms, kibbutz. And when they want the IDF form, the IDF force, the Miyetti Allah vigilante that you are seeing today, the people you call bandits today, can be the new military force of Arewa tomorrow. It has happened in history. It has happened in history. Or should we go back to America? Most of the patrols that became the policing system in America today used to be patrols that was used to chase down fleeing slaves. We need to understand, Tom Polo was fighting, built a ragtag army to fight against Nigerian government, blow up pipeline, and he became powerful and became notorious. What is he currently doing? He's now a consultant. He has a private military agency that is being used to police the entire maritime coast in the south of Nigeria. armed with gunboats. So you are saying this cannot happen. These are people that they are now being recognized by the government. They are armed, heavily armed. So you look at the country, the future of Nigeria. Or some of you think, oh, miracle will just happen. You are just talking about economy. When the Roman Empire fell, it was not because of lack of economic prosperity. It was not the lack of economic prosperity that made the empire fail. When Libya collapsed, it was not because Libya was not economically prosperous. Libya was economically prosperous before it collapsed. So we need to understand that we are at the precipice. And as Yoruba people, this is the definition of Yoruba Ronu, and we understand where we are going and where we are coming from. I see this century. As the century of blood and iron. I see this century as the continuation of the century of humiliation of the Yoruba people. 19th century was the century of humiliation, where we fought ourselves, where we destroyed ourselves, where we balkanized ourselves, where the Yoruba people self-destruct as a people. The same thing happened in the 20th century. Between 1900 to the early 2000s. And that was where the song Yoruba Ronu by Albert Ogunde came from. This century, this new century, a century is 100 years. This year makes it 1/4 of this century. And we're already seeing that the unipolar world order has been destroyed. In the 19th century, there was just one superpower, and that superpower was Britain. In the 20th century, there was just one superpower, and that superpower was United States of America, because United States of America was able to defeat USSR. In 21st century, it is a multipolar world order. There is no single power anymore. We now have superpowers in all the firms, economic power, China, America. We have middle powers. I'm talking about Iran. I'm talking about Turkey. Even the countries, Britain that used to be superpowers have not become Germany, they become middle powers. So Nigeria, that the world is no longer what it used to be. We can see the issue of Palestine, where one particular bloc was support. We see the European powers trying to undo the damage they did after the First World War, where they broke up the Ottoman Empire and shared the lands in the Middle East and created countries that had no meaning. There is no meaning. Iraq was created by Britain. Saudi Arabia was created by Britain. Iraq does not have any meaning. It had no meaning. So you have to understand that they were trying to undo the damage they've done. But America, just one country, stands up and say what the other countries of the world have said is null and void. So you have to understand that even though the European powers and say the West can say they are one, they are not one. Because on geopolitical reasons, they've started to fall apart. Russia has its own agenda too. China has its own agenda too. Everybody's running their own agenda. That is why we've seen what we are seeing in Africa, in West Africa. And maps are being redrawn. Early this year, M23 rebels, who are mostly Tutsis, they took over 2 states in Congo. And everybody was weeping. Oh, how do we save Goma? How can the Congolese government take back their 2 territories? It was just 1 year, 2 months, 3 months, people were shouting on social media. So please, can somebody tell me what happened later? Nothing happened. The world moved on. The Tutsis rebels, they've taken over 2 states and created new satellite colonies out of an existing country right within Africa. So you ask yourself this question: should we not be prepared? It was the lack of our preparation that has placed us in these 300 years of humiliation as Yoruba people. Whether within Nigeria, in Benin Republic, or Togo, the Yoruba people must be prepared. If heaven falls, if the rain falls, if thunder strikes, how will the Yoruba race exist forever? That should be our destiny. That should be our future. I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Are. Eshegon, I have a follow-up question to Madam Olakpeju question. Are all the solutions you mentioned, they are more or less like long-term solutions, if I understand you properly. But what is the short-term solution to curb what is going on at the moment? Because we don't know, I mean, to stop the killings. We don't know, maybe they're coming back tomorrow. As we all know, mostly they come and go, they come and go. What are we going to do to avoid this happening again?
Lately, what the Yoruba people actually fear has come upon us. Odebolugbo omomorani o. Odeba aresa omomorani. What we can do is to defend ourselves. The security system apparatus should be decentralized, and we must understand the problem for what it is, throw away political correctness, and understand that this is an asymmetrical warfare. This is not about a ragtag people. The Nigerian army, it is very difficult to defeat they are fighting guerrilla warfare. And I am sorry to say this. This is not a matter of North versus South. This is a particular group that has been fighting across West Africa, and they are currently taking over the whole of West Africa, bit by bit. This is like a replica of what happened in the 19th century, of the 17th, 16th, 17th, 19th century. I think it was the British colonialists that actually stopped them. This is a continuation of that war. And we just have to prepare ourselves. The Dogons in Mali had to organize themselves to survive the jihadists that were exterminating them in Mali. The Dogons are one of the ancient people with an ancient civilization in West Africa. But what did the Dogons do? They found a way to survive. They fought back. So we need to start putting all options on the table, because Zamfara has literally become a terror-ravaged area. Katsina, the same thing. Kaduna, the same thing. Benue, the same thing. Niger State, the same thing. Now it is spreading. It is spreading little by little. And some people thought maybe when Buhari is gone, you change the southerner, you can bring a northerner. Nothing has changed. So now it is now in Kwara State, it is now in Kogi State, and with the kind of political leadership, the unserious political leadership, the politically correct political leadership that we have at state level within Nigeria, we know we are going to be in trouble. So it's a matter of time before these things become a norm. in southwest of Nigeria. It's already happening already. Amotekun has done a good job, at least in having early this year. Don't forget that Ondo State was also on the hot seat. We must not have that. We must not have short memory. We must not have amnesia. So we must also be prepared and be ready to psychologically be able to fight a long asymmetrical war. Because these people, they are ready to fight for the next 50 years. And after they do that, they are going to say, oh, we've been fighting for the past 50 years. Oh, okay, for the sake of peace, make us, give us an emirate in your land, or we are not going to stop fighting. And I've seen an example like this before in history. Actually, this was how Normandy was created. Normandy is a powerful region in France that later went to conquer United Kingdom. Who are the Normans? The Normans were Vikings. Who are the Vikings? The Vikings were nomadic Vandals who attacked that area of northern France. And they kept on attacking and attacking the French, indigenous French people, killing them. And for the sake of peace, the king of France had to say, please stop killing my people. I'll give you a land. I am going to make you give you a little kingdom for the sake of peace. What happened? They turned that little piece of land to Norman, became a powerful kingdom that even conquered France, conquered Britain. So this is a replication of history. It is a replication of history. We know that's where it's going on. That was what the last president was talking about, Buhari. For the sake of peace, give up your land and we are going to settle these people. So we must be prepared. Our land, our culture, our heritage, our identity must not be sacrificed for the peace of Nigeria. We must not. We must not sacrifice our soul because our land is our soul. We must damn political correctness. We must not make the mistake of the 19th century. And it's going to be a long walk to freedom, but I know the Yoruba people are going to survive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now we can go to people on the stage. Mr. Asheda, please take the mic.
My name is
I'm sorry, I can't hear the question being asked. Can you hear them, Madam Beju, can you hear?
It's a submission, Are.
Okay, we couldn't hear it, please. Please stop, don't mute yourself so that it can be transmitted live.
So Mr. Asheda, please go ahead.
Yeah. First, I would like to
Go ahead, please.
I would like to express my disappointment. regarding the way the president handled the issue that happened in Kwara. That something similar happened in some other regions. And we know the step the presidency took and how they handled that. Well, as much as we want to claim and we want to be recognized as a Yoruba man, and we appreciate having a person at the top, but we are not happy and we are not ready to sacrifice our people on a platter of politics. And there is this saying, if they start giving someone a repeated slap on his face, if the face is not blind, the effect, the aftermath of those slaps is something else. Today, we are talking about 50 community, Yoruba community in Kwara, that people have been killed, displaced, and scattered. You see, now, gradually, this thing is not that it's coming home, it is home now. And Yoruba says, that's where my first problem starts. The problem is we have traditional rulers all over Yoruba land who are the custodians of our tradition and our heritage. And we haven't had much from them. There are many things that are happening in various regions across the country. And we see how their leaders come up with their submission, opinion, and what they think should be done. Even we have a situation whereby people are coming from other regions, coming to Yoruba land to do various things. And once our government take any step, these people, their representative and their kings will come up to complain or to do one thing or the other. Yorubas, where are we? Where is our leaders? Where are kings? Such the other thing that I had has just made some submission and making known his what he thinks about what has happened. I haven't heard about any other obas from Yoruba land. Is this how we want to keep silent while our parents are being killed?
Mr. Shida, please round up in 1 minute.
Today, but tomorrow it might be in Ondo, it might be in Osun, it might be anywhere. Now, going forward, I think this is a clear call tonight for all Yoruba worldwide. I'm calling and I'm invoking, yes, the spirit of our forefathers upon all Yorubas that are listening to this voice to arise now and get prepared, as I have said. We need to start, and the actions need to start now. We need to get ready. Well, someone like me, I have different opinion because I don't think we need to is for each and every Yoruba man to start having meetings wherever they are together. See how we can protect Yoruba land. This moment, many of us are available at this moment. We are ready to protect Yoruba land and to protect Kwara. Let us start getting in touch. Let us start having this meeting. Let us start connecting with ourselves. Because now, I want to say something. While I was talking, he said the Sultan of Sokoto was talking and he was trying in his submissions, yes, to placate, to tell us in a country that is multi-religious that, well, Islamic or Sharia or this or that is something that is in line. Now, many of our leaders, what they are afraid of saying, what they were even trying to be political correct about, are what many of these people are saying. Now, today again, I heard that the deputy speaker of House of Rep, Kalu, was saying, "Oh, why will Lagos State do this, do that?" Something similar has happened in Southeast. I didn't hear any of them or any Yoruba leader telling them why did this happen in their land. But now it is when anything happen on our own land that our people will now start saying something. And I mean, many of us will just feel soon and we feel what I'm saying in essence is of a very long time to from our slumber. Sọ̀rọ̀ láàrin Yorùbá, ìfẹ́ yẹn la nídìí sìn la dẹ̀ fi ní láti lè tẹ̀síwájú. Ó ti di dandan àti ọmọ wa tá a ti pè lọ́mọ burúkú tá a ti lé jáde tẹ́lẹ̀ àwọn tá a wà gbogbo wa láti di ọ̀kan ká dẹ̀ protect ilẹ̀ Yorùbá láti ìsinsìnyí lọ. Ẹ ṣé, ẹ jẹ́ kí n dúró bínú. Thank you.
Ẹ ṣé gan, Mr. Asheda. Thank you so much. Ẹ ṣé. Yeah. So we go to the next speaker. Mr. Bayo, please go ahead. Am I audible? Mr.
Yes.
Bayo, please go ahead.
Yes.
I think he's not on stage. So, Mr. Elegbede. Are you there, Mr. Elegbede? Good evening. Take 3 minutes. We have a lot of people on the stage, please.
Discussion and analysis. What I want to start by saying is that I don't know if it is. I don't know that it is right, or it is a thing of compulsion for Yoruba people to have interest within Nigeria. Because just because everybody is doing something doesn't mean you too should do it. And I feel that beyond just the killings and the replacements and the ethnic cleansing of our people in Kwara, Kogi, and in fact, I feel that there are more deeper damage that is being done to the Yoruba people. And this damage is psychological, and in fact, in other facets, in other means, and in fact, Yoruba people are now beginning to think like other groups in Nigeria. So for me, I don't know that Yorubas must have an interest within Nigeria just because other people are having it. Because Nigeria was not colonized. Nigeria is a product of colonization. So it becomes funny when somebody tells you that Nigeria that was created by the British was also colonized by the British, because colonization started in the 19th century. Of what we now know as Nigeria started in the 19th century. That is the 1850s downwards. And before the protectorate of southern Nigeria was created, it took 50 years after the bombardment of Lagos, 50 years more or less after the bombardment of Lagos. So for you to tell me that an entity that was created 50 years after British colonization is something that can work, or is something that is meant for the interest of the natives, is something that I would like to debate. So what I'm saying in essence is that the way Nigeria was created, Nigeria is a product of colonization, as I've said, and it was created for the purpose of the natives losing their identity. And with the identity, they lose their lands. With their lands, they lose their resources. With their resources, in fact, they become just impoverished and remain subservient to other people. And this is the mechanism of colonization, because apart from the external colonizers, you have to have internal colonizers too. Otherwise, it won't work. You have to have external colonizers. Helping us supporting the external colonizers. In terms of, okay, external colonizer can be British, or you can have internal colonizers such as Fulanis, Igbos, name it. So this is how the whole system has been orchestrated and organized. And I was talking about other effects that the current situation in Nigeria is causing to the Yorubas, psychological effects. And in fact, for instance, hello? Is somebody? Okay. For instance, the Southwest Development Commission that was just inaugurated. If you are rejoicing over a development commission that has been inaugurated, I want to ask you, what is the essence of the government? So I'm talking about development. It covers all facets of national life. If you have a development commission, that means, I don't know, what is the work of the government? And let us look at other places where these development commissions have been set up. The first place that it was set up was in the Niger Delta. You understand? And I don't know, I can't say that.
Mr. Elegbede, please round up in 30 seconds.
Poverty. Generally, it's not just about, it's like it's more than this. So, say is that which is actually the current situation.
So can I quickly respond? Can I quickly respond to the question? Can I respond to the question of the gentleman, please? Madam Ajoke?
Yeah, Harry, please give some seconds for him to round up. Thank you, Mr. Elegbede. So, Ara, you can go on, please.
Thank you so much. I understand that there are a lot of Yoruba people that they understand, they just want to, I understand what you're saying, sir. But I will be a little bit very straight to the point with you. I belong to that school of thought, which is the real, it is called real politics, political realism. And what is political realism? The political realism is that you need to see things for what it is. The Yoruba people must have an agenda within Nigeria. The Yoruba people must have an agenda in Niger. The Yoruba people must have an agenda in Togo. We must have an agenda in Ghana. We must have an agenda in Brazil. There is no serious race on earth that does not have an agenda, even in places where it is not even indigenous. So saying that the Yoruba people should not have an agenda, number one, that is totally wrong. Well, what do we mean by an agenda? Niger has uranium, and Yoruba land does not have uranium. How do you get uranium? How do you build your nuclear reactor? You want to build nuclear reactor in order to be able to have cheap electricity. And Niger in West Africa, so you need to have relationship. You need to have diplomatic ties. The Yoruba people that are residents in Niger Republic, are they influential? You can use them to network. It was because the Jews had an agenda. That was how they could use the influence of Lord Rothschild to lobby the British government to get the Balfour Declaration, which is the only document they are using to lay claim to that area in Palestine till date. So it is totally wrong to say you don't need an agenda. You need an agenda for God's sake. Two, Nigeria has been created. We can go on and on. I can speak for the next 10 years without mincing words and repeating a single phrase or clause or statement or sentence on why the process that led to the creation of Nigeria was evil, which is colonialism. I understand all those things. But we need to also realize some things fundamentally. That if you don't have power, your dreams and aspiration is useless. Inasmuch the powers that be that created and formed this Nigeria is still intact. All your fantasies about the amalgamation is all lies. I have said it several times. It is not all ethnic nations that made it into Nigeria that will get out of Nigeria. We've seen people openly proposing genocidal policies like Ruga, Katu colony, implementing Sharia law all over Nigeria in the supposedly secular and theocratic country, and they think they are making sense. And they will even be blocking you and be seeing you as an enemy of Islam or enemy of Christianity. We are going to see people who say they are very patriotic and they love Nigeria and they love to call the other people that say contrary things to Yoruba nation. Many of them don't even understand what Nigeria is. We've seen Ijaw people, not once, not twice, more than 5 times, anytime there is a national conference, openly saying that the entire coastal line of Yoruba land in Ondo State and the entire coastal line of the Yoruba Ishekiri people in Delta State should be carved and given to them to create another state. for the job people. And you're saying you don't want an agenda. You just want to sit down and be proselytizing. No, it doesn't work that way. If there is politics, if there is negotiations, if there are diplomacy, we must play it within Nigeria. Saying otherwise is a form of anarchy, pure anarchy. Now you say, oh, the Yoruba people are getting psychologically because of, no, that's not true. Your neighbors are in distress. Your neighbors are importing 500,000 PVC to come and dictate political outcome in your land. And you want to sit down and say everything is okay, and you want to be speaking English. You are playing with destruction. Your neighbors are importing themselves into your land, and they are trying to take over the most powerful subnational states in the entire Africa, which is Lagos State, and you think all is well. Your neighbors that you see as minority, they come on Twitter and say, once we become the president of Nigeria, we will take Lagos away from the Southwest. Not once, not twice. And this has been and you think everything is okay, and you think you just want to sit down. Oh, then something is wrong. The Yoruba people must have interest, agenda in Benin Republic. That is how great powers think. That is how great nations think. That is how superpowers have always maintained their power status. America has interest in what is happening in Canada. They have interest in what is happening in Mexico. They have interest in what is happening in Brazil, in Argentina, in Venezuela. Why do you think they are supporting Bolsonaro in Brazil? So that has always been the mindset of great powers. You must pay interest. Not to pay interest is to play with fire. That's why I spoke almost 30 minutes non-stop. Why the Yoruba people must pay interest to what is happening in in Mali, in Burkina Faso. The lack of interest of the Yoruba people to what the political change and landscape, how jihadists took over ancient empires in Mali, ancient empire in Songhai, ancient empire in northern Nigeria, in Niger, was what led to the destruction of Yoruba land in the 19th century. So please, we are not anarchists, we are realists. We will have agenda all over the world, anything that will secure Yoruba territory and Yoruba land. Within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. So we are Nigerians now, we will always act as Nigeria. And if anybody is not interested in Nigeria, they are not going to use our head to break coconuts. We will play the game of Nigeria, we will play the game of Benin Republic, we will play the game of Togo. That is the food roadmap of Nigeria, of TYF. We will organize our people all over the world within the ambit of the law, through diplomatic means, without constituting nuisance and becoming a threat where we'll be targeted by other people. Outside our territorial homeland, outside Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic, Sierra Leone, and Nigeria, that we Yoruba people have power. That's how to think. Now, there's another question about state police. I support state police. State police should have happened 5 years ago. In fact, it should have happened 10, 20, 50 years ago, since the days of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. I don't care what the people say, oh, we need state police, Yoruba land needs state police ASAP. Somebody said, oh, look at the commission that they had in Niger Delta, it didn't work. It didn't work in Niger Delta, does that mean it's not going to work in Yoruba land? Amoteku is working in Yoruba land, but the people who failed in flying colors in the Igbo land because we are different people. compare the level of the governance system in Yoruba land to other parts of Nigeria? Are we not getting the same allocation? Are we not using the same structure? Are we not using the same democracy? Are we not using the same constitution? Because we are different people. Italy, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Romania, they are all within European Union. Go to those countries and start asking yourself, why is Austria far more developed than Italy and Romania? Are they not all white? Because the people are different, the cultural values, the cultural heritage. It is not Nigeria that gave them that edge. It is the cultural power and the civilization framework and bedrock. There's a reason why Canada and United States of America is superior in those areas of North America because of the civilization power and value. All the Spanish-speaking countries in the North America and South America are not doing great. Spain is also not doing great in Europe. This is not a ratio, but it's a reality. Go and look at what the Scandinavian countries, few resources, but well managed. So these are the discrepancies that even if you have Nigeria well restructured, some regions in Nigeria will still do more, better, far better. Will still be economically more advanced, politically more stable than some regions in Nigeria, even with little and few resources. That is why the proponents of unitarists, the unitarists that are saying, oh, they want to create melting pot Nigeria, uniformity of Nigeria, we must be united in poverty, we must be uniform in poverty. Those people are pure anarchists. And that is what they've been doing for the past 65 years. One key Yoruba so that everybody will be on the same level of poverty. I'm saying this on here. So that's why I said there must be a Yoruba agenda. Tell Yoruba first state police, no problem. It is not, a state can say we're not interested in state police, they will still be using the federal police. They have the choice. A state can say we are not interested in building our own railway service. But you should give us the choice to have a proper society where human beings, civilized human beings can live. That's what we are saying. And you decide if I repeat the class. Almost 25 years, so she was in primary 2. No problem. What's the problem for you? And you make the allocation to can fish marriage every weekend. It's not it's allocation to can commercial can state governor see allocation Abuja. It's none of our business. But we want to build the best subnational states in Africa and the world. We want to compete with the world. So that's why we are saying everybody should develop at their own pace. And there's an agenda. We must have our agenda within Nigeria. What is the Yoruba agenda? Ethno-linguistic federalism. Who do we align with? Who do we ally with? Who should we parley with? That's how great powers think. Atiku is the I'm rounding up. I'm rounding up, please. Atiku is one of the patrons of this particular global Fulani organizations, Tabita Pulaku. Those are people that have global outview to life. That's how Yoruba people should think. Because Yoruba is a global race. You are not a tribe. You are transcontinental. So why should you not say you don't want? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense geopolitically. It's absolute. It's pure suicide. The Yoruba people must pay attention. Who is going to become the governor of Kwara State? Because he will be the person that the governor of Kwara State will determine if the Yoruba people of Kwara State will be protected. Who is going to become the governor of Edo State? how the governor of Edo State will determine the Yoruba people of Edo State will be protected. The Yoruba people must pay attention, finance, engage in political and lobbying. Who is going to become the governor of Kogi State? Because the governor of Kogi State will determine the Yoruba people's interest in Kogi State will be protected. Same thing in Delta. The Yoruba people must pay attention. Who is going to become the president of this country beside us, Benin Republic, so that the Yoruba people of Benin Republic will not be persecuted. That is why the Jews are powerful. They determine who is going to become the president of America. They determine who is going to become the prime minister of UK. Powerful countries, they lobby in Australia. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Yes, you can speak now.
Madam Poju, please. Can you take over, please?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for giving me the platform. I just want to make it very quick. I want to support the host for what he said. This is what I've been shouting personally, for a while now. The Yoruba nation must have an agenda. But before we talk about the agenda, one of the biggest problem of the Yoruba nation is lack of unity. That is one of our biggest problems. Now, I read the other day when they said about 130 socio-cultural groups in Yoruba land wrote to the United Nations, about this Quara, whatever, United Nations. I just laughed. Is it not the same United Nations that Donald Trump said, can barely solve should I say, a quarrel between a husband and a wife? How many wars, how many problems has the United Nations, within 8 months of Trump's presidency, he has, ended 7 wars, and then this Israel-Hamas war is about, it's about to be ended now, courtesy of just one person. The Yoruba nation must be strong to the point that it can fight without writing any letter to any organization before it defends itself. So 130 socio-cultural or socio-political organizations, let those 130 organizations come together and form one solid. Although, we know we can't stop people from forming organizations and all of that, but let's form one solid group and say, this is our agenda. This is what we are fighting for. We're a Yoruba people. We're a Yoruba nation. This is what it is. Not that one person has, one person has one organization about 130 organizations having different missions, different aims and objectives, and different visions. So it's important that we come together as a group, as one nation, know our agenda, and then know who our leaders are. Not that different leaders coming from different, having this different approach to things. That's number one. Then number two, our strategy. We have to have a strategy to fight our wars as a Yoruba nation. It's very important that we have a strategy. Look at this Israeli strategy. Israel does not have to write to the United Nations to fight for itself. You attack Israel, Israel comes after you. You attack Israel, Israel comes after you. I was hearing that Allah was talking, or was he begging or pleading with the governor of Kwara State to bring Amotekun in. When non-state actors are attacking, a part of Yoruba land. it will be foolhardy of me as a person. Let's say, for example, somebody attacks any of my younger sister, and I have to go and I have to go and beg someone or ask someone if I should fight the person that's attacking my sister. So we have to put ourselves together in such a way that we do not need the permission of any state government before they are laughing or before any of our leaders bring in security to defend our brothers and sisters anyway. That is quite important. So I have a whole lot of things that I even want to say about this state policing. State policing is something that is very, very, we have to be very careful how we support it. Because when we talk about state policing, you're saying, maybe Kwara State should have its own state police, your state, those states, and on like that. Okay, leadership or the police or the head of those police will be the state chief, the state governor, who is the chief security officer of that state. And it's the same thing that is happening with Kwara State. When, Kwara State is making a TLA, kind of security within that state. So state policing is something that we have to sit down, we have to evaluate and be sure it's something that is going to favor us. Our communities, our Yoruba communities, have to be well protected, have to be well secured. That is that is what we should support as a Yoruba group. And I think beyond state policing, I think we should find for a situation whereby the Yoruba, or let me say our Yoruba leaders, come up with security agents like Amotekun to secure all parts of the Yoruba land. So that is my contribution this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bayo. Eshegon, thank you so much. Mr. Ayomide.
Can I quickly respond? Can I quickly respond to the last speaker?
Okay, I will go ahead.
The issue is that I know a lot of our people, emotions are high, but there are ways in which you fight. Hamas is fighting, they believe they are fighting for the survival of their people in Palestine. But in geopolitics, they gave excuse, they gave a reason for Netanyahu to annihilate them and destroy them. When Hamas, on October 7, and 2 years ago, last year, October 7, and they invaded Israel, a lot of people were celebrating it all across the world. But Israel needed that trigger to annihilate leadership of Hezbollah, annihilate the entire leadership of Hamas, and add the right pretext to be able to invade West Bank and Gaza. Emotions is useless in geopolitics. And àwọn Yorùbá dẹ̀ máa ń pa òwe. Wọ́n ní ẹjọ́ lèèyàn ń kọ́ kéèyàn tó kọ́ ìjà. We need to be able to understand the dynamics of power before we jump into battles. Time àwọn Aláàfin 17th, 18th century, ó ti yàtọ̀ sí 2025. I want to ask people a question. When was the last time a powerful Yoruba monarch openly challenged and spoke to power in Kwara State? The last time it happened was during the time of Mohammed Lawal in 2003. That was 20 years ago. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ Yorùbá ò dẹ̀ mọ ibi tán ti ń bọ̀. A lot of Yoruba people don't know where they are coming from. And where are the Yoruba people coming from? The Yoruba people don't know that they've been in opposition and in perpetual subjugation in Nigeria since 1914. This is the first time the Yoruba people, since 2015, the Yoruba Share were in power. That is why they killed the richest man in Africa, Anari Onokakanfo, and killed his wife. Heaven did not fall. MQ Abiola. They killed the premier of Yoruba land, Akintola. Heaven did not fall. One jail Awolowo, but the leaders of thought of the Yoruba people, heaven did not fall. I want to damage against Tiwagana to Mama challenge you. We should continue to sacrifice for them. Yoruba ṣe ń lẹ́nu sọ̀rọ̀ ní Nigeria ni. Ṣe ń lẹ́nu sọ̀rọ̀ ni. There are ways. Àwọn Fulani tẹ́ ń wò pé àwọn kan wọlé wọn pa. Àwọn yẹn ti wà in power. This country was handed over to them. There is something called the Dua Mandate. The Dua Mandate. That book was written. Eloka ìwé yẹn, Flora Shaw, Lord Lugard, gbogbo bó ṣe tó Nigeria. The Fulanis were not colonized in Nigeria. The Fulanis were co-colonizers of Nigeria. They were given equal standard in Britain fún Nigeria. They fi àdúrà continue gara. Nsọgbú. Kò ṣeé ṣe, ẹ máa farabalẹ̀ understand the limited symbol. Ara tó kó bá àwọn first àwọn Awólọ́wọ̀ nìyẹn. Mo mọ̀ tán human rights activists no. Ẹ máa farabalẹ̀ ní agenda tí lẹ máa follow fáwọn èèyàn tí brutally. So ẹjọ́ wọ́n máa kó ẹjọ́ náà ni. Tẹ́ ẹ bá tiẹ̀ fẹ́ lọ intervene bẹ́ẹ̀ ní wá lórí social media kẹ́ ẹ máa sọ. Do you know báwo l'Amẹ́ríkà ṣe annex Texas? Do you know how America annexed Texas? Do you know how America annexed Hawaii? Do you know the pretext? The excuses America used to annex those places? What is the excuse that Russia used to annex Donbass, Crimea, Zaporizhzhia? Because they just say, oh, we are going there to do peacekeeping, to defend the rights of Russian people in eastern Ukraine. No. It doesn't work that way. Powerful countries of the world, you use opportunity, you use deception. Our cannot bui one gun. Invade the one we are doing it because of Islam. Oh, Islamic Brotherhood, you rather me. By the time you start giving them excuses, examples, Islamic Brotherhood, Abiola. Islamic Brotherhood. What about the war between the Kanuris and the Yoruba people, Kanuris and the Sokoto Caliphate, the Borno Empire and the Sokoto Caliphate? The Hausa people were already Muslims. Then why did you subjugate and kill them and took over their lands? Why have you not been able to eradicate feudalism and multidimensional poverty in that place since over 200 years? Go and read about the Sokoto Caliphate, where 70% of the people in Sokoto Caliphate were slaves. So what exactly what revolution are you talking about? You need to, they want a package here, and they've been surviving through manipulation for 200 years. If you're not careful, they will survive another 1,000 years. And it's not even my concern if they can limit their nonsense to what they are doing. My most important concern is the Yoruba people must also be powerful and be liberated. Otto. She understand? So Ogbon Logba, Ejo, calm down. That's why there are a lot of things. I only talk about history here. Strategy should not be discussed on social media. It's not, you're only wasting your time. Because you want to tell your enemy you are coming, they're already coming for you. So you want the alarm for you to say, oh yeah, go there and go and remove Kini. Enemy of Kano, the current governor of Kano State, impeach it. Nothing happened. the ọ̀rọ̀ ṣàrò ọba jẹ́bà ọba bíi mẹ́wàá ó ní Saraki impeach tó dẹ̀ gba certificate lọ́wọ́ wọn dẹ̀ tún gbé lọ court and they won in court till now the Kwara State government has not given them their what belongs to them. We know what we are facing and we are ready to be patient, but we are going to win. I'm going to win. Victoria South, we are going to win. We are patient. As at after 1947, 48, the state of Israel declared independence. Only 35 to 40% of the current day Palestine, like one Israel learning now. But what happened? They played the waiting game. They played the waiting game. And anytime anytime they were invaded by the Arabs, they continue to take more territories. They took more territories from Syria. They took more territories from Jordan. They took more territories from Egypt. They took more territories from this country, Lebanon. That's how they were able to increase their territory. 60% of the entire water that Israel currently uses for domestic, industrial, and agricultural reasons, they got it from Golan Heights, the land they seized from Syria. They are not going to, Syria is not going to get that place. That's why every Arab country is afraid of attacking Israel. Israel will come and attack only so that I'm die lessy. If you want to go to war, you must be well assured. Yoruba people are recovering from mental, material, and human subjugation within Nigeria. That's why some of us, Tinubu might not give us one kobo, but I'm going to tell Tinubu nidokun. Because we know the symbolism, we know the importance of it. Emotions do not win war. 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 It will not give you what you think you are going to get. You need strategy, you need patience, you need to be calculative. We need to learn from what is happening in Adamawa, how people were able to organize themselves in Adamawa. Until we have a pro-Yoruba governor, a full-blown Yoruba governor in Kwara State, there is nothing we are going to do for now. So, Eloni Suru ni oke de lo kaiton. Go and read about Muhammad Lawal and what was used to destroy Muhammad Lawal. It was some of our Yoruba politicians in the West that, in the name of party PDP politics, let us destroy Muhammad Lawal ni Kwara. So you can suru ejo e ko gbona fe suru mu an fe ke sise ni wọ́n fẹ́ kẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ ní. The same people that will come on social media that continue to tell us, oh, Lagos is no man's land. Yoruba land is no man's land. We will chase away your obas. When Yoruba people say, oh, let us protect Yoruba, the same people will still turn back and say, oh, these people are tribalistic. You know, because you have to understand the kind of people you are dealing with. Thank you so much. I'm handing over to you, Madam Kweju, Madam Ajoke.
Thank you so much. Miss Ayomide, would have anything want to lower stage more? Okay, quick one. Host. Shelley, be I want to sorrow already. If we have other people that want to come up, Madam Dabiri is on stage. In audience, anyway. Please, we need people up. Okay, Mr. Amide is back. Please take 3 minutes, Mr. Amide. Hello, ẹ káalẹ́ o.
Hello, sir. Are you there?
He's no longer there. I think his network is bad.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you bring on the next speaker.
He's back again. So, Mr. Yomide, please go ahead.
Question, Karen.
Gbọ́ yín o, ṣẹ́yìn gbọ́ wa. A ti ń gbọ́ yín padà. Gbọ́ question ní ẹ repeat ẹ jọ.
Okay.
Can you hear you, sir?
Yeah. So can you hear me now?
Go on, please.
Okay. I just want to know the approach that the Yoruba conservative movements are making to reach out to our political leader. Because I observed that
We can't hear you, sir.
he has network issues. This is network.
We actually lost you for some seconds, Mr. Ayomide. Bóyá kẹ́ repeat nǹkan tẹ́ sọ yẹn jọ. We lost you for some seconds.
Like as a reformist, as a strategist, in our approach that they make like to reach out to them, especially the senators, governors.
All right, over to you, please.
Can you repeat the question? It was muffled. Sorry, can you repeat the question to me, Madam Kweju?
Sure.
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
It's actually one barrier as we pay reaching out to our political leaders.
Yeah, like what's the question?
How can we reach out to them? What are the steps TYM is taking to reach out to our political leaders?
Of course, thank you so
much. The senators, the governors, our political leaders in Yoruba land.
Yeah, we're already doing that. We reached out, I don't want to say some things on here, but TYF has always been talking with political leaders in Yoruba land. The right people, technocrats, office of the governor, ministries, and we'll continue to do that in Nigeria in order to be able to help our people. So I'm not going to give details of how we do it and what we do on here, but I can assure you, sir, that's exactly what we've been doing and what we'll continue to do.
Any more speaker, Madam Ayokade?
So if there's no speaker, I think we should start. We should start wrapping up. Should rounding up or wrapping up? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm off space now. Thank you everyone for watching us tonight. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Are, for that insightful lecture. I hope to see you again this time next week. And sorry for our technical glitches this particular session. We hope to do better next week. We hope to see you again next week at the same time, 8 p.m. on same platforms. and we hope you'll be in good health and of sound mind. Good night, everyone.